Welcome to From the Game to Grace, the podcast where real life begins after the final whistle. Hosted by Jarius and Candace Hayes, a former pro athlete and his powerhouse wife. This show dives deep into what happens when the spotlight fades, the crowd goes silent, and the real work begins. It's not just about football, it's about faith, identity, marriage, mental health, family, and learning how to grow through what you go through. From championship dreams to personal heartbreak, Jarius and Candace don't just talk about it, they've lived it. So if you're navigating a new season, wrestling with purpose, or just trying to hold it all together, you're in the right place. Let's get real. Let's heal. This is From the Game to Grace.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to From the Game to Grace. I am your co-host, Candace Hayes, and I have a special guest here today, Dr. Mari, PhD. Dr. Mari. Listen, Dr. Mari, we thank you so much for just this opportunity for you to even come on here and give your expertise and all of that good stuff. And just a little bit about Mari, Dr. Mari. Dr. Mari and I have been knowing each other for over 30 years now. Both of our husbands played professional football in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals, and her husband played for other teams. And just during that season, when both of our husbands were playing, the wives really kind of, got together, and, Mari and I actually have children the same age. So our children went to school together with each other. We did carpools, I just felt like this was my family away from family. So, just knowing each other over 30 years, she knows the good, she knows the bad, she knows the happy times, the bad times, all of that. And I just appreciate her just for allowing me to be transparent in all the things that I've went through and through this journey. So today this will be the end of the series, and we're talking about, parents that can go through things that they silently go through without really talking to anyone and maybe feeling isolated. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk it out and kind of see how Mari, as a professional, Dr. Mari, how she can get us to some of the steps that we need to go to without being feeling isolated, without feeling that you can't express yourself. And these are all the things that I felt going through the journey. I felt isolated. I felt like I couldn't express how I wanted to express, what I was going through. And of course, I talked to my husband, but he's not a woman. He's not a mother. So it's different, when you birth that child, you have hopes of, this child, doing good things and not having to deal with some of the things that they deal with. So, Mari, I know that it was one of the talking points is emotional, what the emotional toll of caregiving, how does that affect long term? And I know for Jarius and I, the emotional toll that it had on us, it really affected us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and it just felt like I just want a break. How can I get that break? But at the same time, you really didn't know really who to talk to or who to trust. So for those parents that's out there that may be dealing with something similar to what Jarius and I were dealing with, can you give us some suggestions? Can you give us ways? Can you give them ways of getting from point A to point B?
Yeah, that's a big question and a heavy question. Um, Caregiving is tough. I mean, even if you don't have major issues with your children,
Right.
just day to day, getting them to practices and fed and
Mhm.
in the bed on a decent time is a struggle. So if you think about it in terms of that you're already trying to add, 15 hours to a 24-hour day,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Um, you add any kind of stress on top of
On
that, any
top of
kind of
that.
stressful
Mhm.
environment, it really becomes almost impossible to manage from a normal perspective. So I
Okay.
think the first thing caregiving folks have to do is level set the expectations.
Mm.
Like, what is reasonable
Mm-hmm.
given these set of circumstances, right? So my daughter was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic at 8 years old. What I thought we were going to do when she was 9 was not what we did when she was 9, because we had this diagnosis that came into our life,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to realign what I thought was quote unquote normal. So we created a new normal. And so a lot of times in this caregiving space, folks don't want to have a new normal. They want their life to go back to normal.
Wow.
And
Mm.
that struggle, it just compounds already. I'm tired. I don't have energy. I'm overworked. I'm overtaxed. And then I have this emotional baggage of expectations that are not being met.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'd say to folks, whether it be a child who is type 1 diabetic, that's a type 1 diabetic, or what you went through, is to take a step back and realign your expectations.
Mm.
Realign what's reasonable. What can you actually get done? We may have McDonald's for dinner, and that's
Yeah.
right? Because
Mhm.
the ultimate is you have this 4-course meal, all the food groups are taken care of, and someday just getting to put a piece of food in your mouth is all that you can do.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Mm.
Right?
Mm.
So really establishing that new normal, level setting expectations, determining what's reasonable. Those are all key factors to successfully managing something that really is a lot to manage.
That's good. That's good. And I, I don't know. Let's see. So how like for me, I was unable to ask for help. Well, I I wouldn't say I was unable to ask for help. I think I let pride be a big factor in asking for help because as a mother, you just feel like this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to care for your child. This is your responsibility. This is what you've been put on this earth to do if you are having a child. Now, how am I going to ask somebody else for help for my child that I'm supposed to, that I have this responsibility of? And I think that I toiled with that for so long and for so long. And I guess it was just okay. And hear me out. No, we none of us have a blueprint to how to be a mother. It's just when you have the child, it's just kind of comes almost second nature. But nobody has the blueprint, so it's no perfect mother out there. And so, just with that, and then also with that, I just felt like I'm a failure. I'm a failure because how did I allow this to happen? And I watched this. How did I allow this to happen? Where did I go wrong? And then thinking, well, if I do go ask for help, what are these people? How are these people gonna look at me? and then the judgmental piece of it, came in. So it's like the pride, and you worried about what people are going to think of you because you're asking for help. And and with our culture, I think we do a lot of that. Worried about what people will say if you ask for help. Worried about what people will say if you come out and you share, your story. So how can you how can you what can you share with a mother that's out there that's maybe not even going through the same thing that I went through as a mother, but maybe something similar. So I mean, just something, and she is just on the fence of trying to want to ask for help, but then she backs back up and say, I can't ask for help. I can't, So can you share can you share your heart?
Well, I think that you use the word pride, right?
Yes.
And a pride is a protector. It's a protector of this negative feeling I have about me. And so, I go back to expectations, like analyzing whose expectations am I living up to? Mine, my mom's, society's, who? And when I'm looking at expectations versus I'm looking at my circumstances, I'm not looking at the child and what that child needs. I'm not looking at me and what I need. I'm looking at what other people need from me. They need to think I'm okay. They need to not have to worry about me. They need to not have to, have me rely on them, right? I don't know if those things are actually true, but that's the internal dialogue that happens, right? But when I look at my child and I say, okay, I'm only capable of giving X and Y. I don't have a Z to give. Who has Z? Someone has the Z, right? And then I can say, for me to give my child what he or she needs, I have to be able to go to the source of the Z, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? So really, it really goes back to those expectations. Like, where did they come from? Whose are they? What do they mean? And what's real? So sometimes, again, we live in this kind of fairy tale world,
Yeah.
not on purpose, but because of societal pressures and our own pressures and all those things that say that we should be able to do 28 hours of work in a 24-hour day. And that's simply not realistic. It's not real. Instagram makes it look real, but that's not true because it takes 16 takes to get to that perfect picture, right? That you're seeing, or they videoed it 16 times and they edited it for 3 hours to look like it looks. And so, this asking for help is definitely an issue. But most of that asking for help is about the fact that I am living in this role expectation that I'm not supposed to need help because I'm the mom. Like, well, who said that? Who made that rule?
I don't
right?
know. Yeah.
Who made that rule? And then level setting with myself and saying, in order for me to be the very best mom I can be, I have to have a village. I have to have resources that are beyond what I have at my fingertips. And that means I'm going to have to let somebody know what I need. So I don't think about it in terms of asking for help as much as I say clearly expressing what I need. Right. And so it takes on a different connotation when I'm telling somebody what I need versus I'm begging for them to assist me.
Yeah.
As though I'm not capable. No, this is not about capacity or capability. It's about what is happening and how much time and energy and money and all the things do I have to offer to this problem.
That's good. Yeah. That takes on a whole different approach.
Right.
Yeah, it really does. Wow. Yeah.
Right. So if you go to a restaurant
Yeah.
and you sit down You don't ask the server for help,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You're just
Right.
giving
Yeah.
the server what you need, what you want. And we think that's okay. So, we're still asking for help. We're asking them to help us fill our stomach, right? But we don't
Yep.
see it as asking for help because I walked in a position of, I'm supposed to tell you what I want. I'm supposed to tell you what I need. And so it's easy for me to do that at a restaurant. And magically, I get what I asked
What you
for,
need. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so we just don't allow ourselves to do that everywhere in our life. And most people, once they understand what you need, they usually will facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't do it, they'll recommend someone, they'll refer you to someone, they'll help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a position of weakness, it's actually a position of power, internal power, because you have looked at yourself, you looked at your circumstances, you determine your capacity, your capabilities, and then you went out and resourced what you didn't have.
Yeah. That's yeah. That that takes on a whole different perspective. Absolutely. Yeah, that is so good. That is so good. Yeah. Oh, this is being helpful. This is this is coming straight from the heart. So, how can okay, now that you said that, it's like so uh I guess this is just me. I had a problem with expressing how I felt
Okay.
with the situation. Like, and especially if, because, and here's the things like, all, at this particular time, all the kids were grown, So, but then you have other duties. You have like if you are, and like with me, I am a leader at church. I have, at that particular time, I was trying to run two businesses, and then being a wife and still being a mother to adult children, and still trying to be a friend and still, and just all of the things. And it's like you're still giving as a mom, as a wife, as a mother, as a leader in the church, as a business owner out in, and for your clients. And it was like, you know, and it was some days it was like, yeah, these people have no clue what how I'm feeling, what I'm dealing with, because people still, they still want their, some people are demanding, you have to, address the demands, you have to address this and this. And it's just like, people need assistance, and it's just like, how can I tell them, how I'm feeling, will they be upset about if I say, hey, right now I'm not in the headspace right now, I can, and just as a woman, as a mom, sometimes we don't know how to say no, or at least I didn't at that particular time. And you just keep on and you keep on and you keep adding things and you keep adding things. And it was just like I could not find a way to express myself to let them know at particular times like how I was feeling. And you just keep on, you keep on pushing and going through the cycles. So can you give us some help there?
Yeah. So, I think, one, as a mother, a lot of times we don't stop to really think about how we are feeling. Like we just go. I gotta do, I put my head down, just get it done. And you have the journal that's so powerful, and that's what I recommend most of my clients do. Is like take a piece of paper and a pen and 5 minutes of your day and just write.
Right.
right? Let yourself just feel. Sometimes you'll laugh when you're writing, sometimes you'll cry, you might want to rip up the paper, but what you're doing is you're letting your emotions out so that you can see them. So basically, what I'm trying to say to you is that we have to externalize what's happening internally. Right. So when I talk to someone, when I verbalize what I'm feeling to someone, I'm externalizing it. It's no longer inside of me. It's now out there in the air. I can hear myself talk. I can see the person's responses to my talk. And it gives me a lot of information about what's going on with me. Right? Same thing happens when you put it on paper. So maybe you don't want to talk to anybody yet. You haven't gotten to the place where you're ready to verbalize this to another human being, but it still needs to come out of you so you can see it. So that journaling, getting it out, sorting through what's there, and then determining what I want to do about it. Right?
Yes.
So some people don't understand how powerful journaling is, and that's why it's so powerful, because I get to
See
see
it.
what I've been holding on to in my body.
And
Right?
and it's a safe place, and it's also a no judgment zone. You know,
Right.
nobody's judging you because that's just you in the journal.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you find a great therapist, right? Because that
Yes.
hopefully that same relationship happens where there's no judgment, and it's not so much this person says you're crazy or telling you how not to be crazy or any of those things. It is you're able to hear yourself talk. You're able to hear your thoughts. You're able to reflect with someone else, like what's going on. And hopefully that therapist will help you sort through. Just like I'm saying, if you put it on paper, you now have it to sort through to determine what do you really feel, to determine what do you really want to do with that. So that's really the first step, is to not sit there with it in your head bouncing around, right? Because you're bouncing it off of your own experience, your prior experiences. Usually those experiences are not the most positive, or we wouldn't even bounce it off of there. Your own stressors and your own perceptions. And when you journal, when you talk to a clinician or talk to a really, really good friend that has no judgments, right? Those filters that we usually see ourselves through fall off. Right. So I have lots of clients that say, man, I didn't realize how mean I was to myself until they wrote it down.
Yeah.
And like, gosh, I don't have nothing nice to say about me. I'm like, yeah. And when it's rolling around your head, you don't have that context because you have the filter that's inside of your head, if that makes sense. So that's really the first step. The first step is just taking, and when I say 5 minutes, that's all you really need. 5 minutes a day. You stop the world from spinning. You could be on the toilet just trying to get your writing in wherever you need to be. Those 5 minutes just to get out what's inside. The path usually becomes a little more clear once you start writing. So people say, well, I don't know what to write. Don't know what to write. That's good. I don't want you to make up a story. I want you to get what's in there out.
Yeah.
Right? And then that will tell you. So, like I said, the client that said, man, I'm really mean to myself. Well, the very next step is, how can I be a little nicer to me? What do I need to not see myself this way or treat myself this way? Right? So a lot of times these journeys that we go on are usually initiated by something unrelated to us.
Wow.
So something in the world happens that makes me stop long enough to think about me. And now I start to understand that I have these emotions and they're overwhelming or whatever they are. And if I can get them out, I get a lot of insight onto what I really been holding on for a long time. This incident, this activity, this illness didn't cause your emotions. They were already there. You just have to face them generally. So that's a really long way to say the first step is to externalize what is internal.
That's good. So okay, and so now where you're kind of releasing those things in a journal, and so how can they make the steps towards being more emotional, having the emotional and mental support there. Like,
So this is the faith-based podcast, right?
yes, it is. Mhm.
All right, so I can say what I want to say.
Yes, you can.
You know, so we are not designed to live this life alone. There is nothing nowhere in the Bible that says you should be strong enough to do this by yourself.
Hmm.
Zero. In fact, if you look at the Bible, we all the major minor prophets, Jesus himself walked with other people.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
Jesus
ma'am.
definitely didn't need anybody. He's perfect in himself, but he had 12 disciples and three really close friends,
That's
right?
it. Hmm.
So we're not designed to do this alone. So, oftentimes people will ask me, well, how do I just fix me? I'm like, well, I don't know if you're supposed to,
Mm.
right? I think that's a journey that helps you become stronger and wiser and all those things. And it requires people pouring into you, people mirroring to you, people showing you yourself, people supporting you, people holding you up
Yes.
so that you can walk on the journey. So the externalization of this thing that we're talking about really is just the first step in understanding what I need to add to my life to fix it, to manage it. That's probably a better way of saying that. To manage what I'm seeing in myself, right?
Okay.
If you could do it alone, you wouldn't have this issue. Like
Right.
it wouldn't
That's
even,
right. Yeah.
right? You would have
Yeah.
scrubbed your brain and been done. You're good.
Yeah.
And so once someone does this exercise, I always tell them to get a therapist because I just believe in that. It could be a pastor. Pastors are amazing. I got a great one. They're just not always trained to help you navigate this. And sometimes there's some, the spiritual overlay of this is what's right in the Bible. And I agree with that. But sometimes it takes two steps to get there. And sometimes we don't have those steps always aligned in with our pastors. And so, surrounding yourself with people that can support you, that can hear you without judgment, which is hard to find.
Yeah.
A good clinician, making sure you're in activities that you actually enjoy, that are just mindless, just for you, just because you want to do it. It don't have to be outside. It could be reading a book because you like books. Then make sure you read books, that kind of thing. But really, this journey is not one that you just do alone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So for and here's the thing, the encouragement for women and parents really that's feeling isolated, during this journey. And I know you discussed journaling, finding a great therapist, but you know, and all of those are good. Those are great. Those are great vital points. So, just for the encouragement when they're feeling this way, like, can you help us? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, it's not going to be rainbows and sunshine, right?
Yeah.
I wish I wish that that was the case. And there's going to be some days that are better than others.
Yeah.
And finding some places of gratitude, like what am I grateful for today, helps me to say, okay, there's always a silver lining somewhere. I have to sometimes squint real hard to see it, but I can see it. That becomes really important. So gratitude really does go a long way into keeping our mood elevated. Like, because I'm looking for something positive. I'm looking to the future. I'm looking to what else can I do to make myself feel okay about where I'm at. but also realizing it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have a really bad day where you close the curtains and you don't want to talk to anybody. And giving
Period.
yourself yes, giving yourself space to do that too. Because the more you let yourself do that, the less you need to do it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
And so, we don't hold tomorrow. We don't know what our life is going to look like in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 hours. So learning how to be where your feet are is what I call it. Like, what's happening with me today?
Yeah.
Not what doctor's appointment do I got to take my child to in 2 weeks? 2 weeks will happen. It's gonna come. You don't have to worry about that, or it won't come, and you ain't got to worry about that, right?
Yeah.
And what can I find today that I can enjoy? And sometimes it's just opening and smelling an orange that I'm getting ready to eat, right? Like, wow, God made oranges. That's pretty fabulous, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so finding some gratitude helps a tremendous amount. Connecting with other people who understand what you're going through really helps a lot.
Okay.
Whether you have someone who is behind you in their journey, at the same place you are in your journey, or ahead of you in their journey, that's really helpful to diversify the folks that can pour into you, support you, or even better, you can support,
Mm.
right? So there's this thing called finding healing and helping,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you get to help someone walk through the places and spaces that you just walked through, there's
Yeah.
something that heals on your side of you that says, I survived that. Like,
Yes.
I got through that.
Yeah.
I was where they are, and now I'm over here.
Here. Yeah.
Wow. And so it helps when you have, like I said, someone who is behind you in the journey, who's right alongside you, to be like, girl, today, this child, I love my child dearly, but this child right here is making me crazy.
Yeah.
Someone who can say, yeah, you're right. That's what's happening. Want to go get some, coffee?
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
talk, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that have been there who can say, yep, I was there. I know what you're going
Exactly.
through. I
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what you're saying, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the secret sauce is not to let yourself be isolated.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret sauce,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now that is work on your behalf, right? You have to go out and find that. So that's hard to do when you're not feeling good,
Yeah.
but it's
Absolutely.
essential.
Mm-hmm.
It's essential to do. So when I have folks who, are going through things, I'm always connecting them to people that have been there, are in there, or are getting ready to go in there, somewhere where you can have this peer support.
Mm-hmm.
So peer support becomes really important. So I encourage folks to, one, find gratitude, two, to find your village, find your folks, and three, to not let yourself isolate in this hard season or hard life sometimes. Sometimes it's not a season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a life of this. So that you can then find back to that gratitude, that joy in this journey.
Okay. Wow. This has been really great. Can you give us maybe some material like books to read, or do you have something where they can, follow you? I mean, I know you have your community, but can you just kind of, like if you have anything that, they can take after this session is over, can you give them something where that you can share that they can have, you know, and kind of maybe hold dear to their heart, or just kind of to help them. Also, let everybody know how they can follow you. And I know you have your village and your own community, and that's growing. It's so fun, to be on some of your the community things that you're doing, and just kind of share those things. I know we kind of just went straight in and start talking, but share how long you've been in this field, and yeah, just give us
Yeah.
like 3 minutes. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been in the behavioral health field for 23 years. I've been doing this for a little while. I love it. I love sitting with people and helping them walk a journey, whatever the journey is. Some of the journeys are amazingly positive, and some of them are life altering and really sad. But we always find that gratitude. We find that place where we can say, yes, this was hard, but I survived. Yes, this was, it was awful, but I'm stronger. And so, I highly recommend, I will never not say this, everyone has a therapist. And that doesn't mean that you talk to somebody every week or every month even. It's kind of like your primary care doctor. You go, you get a primary care doctor, you go to that doctor twice a year just so you can get a checkup, just so they can say, hey, yeah, everything's good, you're great, see you in 6 months, right? So you have this frame of reference. This person knows you, they know how you work, they know how your body works, all of those things, so that if you do have a problem, you're not trying to help somebody understand who you are in the middle of your crisis.
Yeah.
You're not trying to help somebody understand who you are when you actually need a problem solved. You don't need them to try to figure out who you are and what you do and how you work. So having a therapist as a frame of reference, your primary care therapist, right? I think everybody in the world should have that. And like I said, you talk to them maybe even just once a year, where they know you, you know them, and they can help if and when you need some of that type of advice. There are amazing books out there. I would probably really be remiss if I gave you just one, but there are a couple that I love for women to read. Some are like cautionary tales, and some are proactive. So there's an older book by Elizabeth George called A Woman After God's Own Heart. And in that book, she understood what it was to put herself, her God, and her family first, when all these outside societal pressures were saying, but you're a pastor's wife, so you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you can't say no to people, and all these different things. And she realized, or she talks about in her book, that when she was saying yes to all these people without actually consulting God first, she was in essence saying no to God.
Mm.
And so it's just a powerful read. It's an older book. I recommend it all the time. There's another book called The Body Keeps Score. This is more of a cautionary book. It talks about the things that you do not realize, deal with, or allow yourself to externalize will cause internal things happening in your body. Right? So, for instance, you can have a panic attack, a physiological, there you go, physiological response to an external factor. So something happens in your external environment, and your body responds. Your heart starts beating fast, you think you're going to die, and there's no danger. Right? So our bodies are always going to hold on to things when we don't deal with them. Right? So we know that sexual trauma victims sometimes disproportionately have autoimmune issues.
Mm.
So it's like, well, why would they have autoimmune issues? Well, because when you're holding on to trauma is like energy. And so if you have too much energy, too much pressure in your body, it has to go somewhere. So it settles in your joints, which causes some other things. So The Body Keeps Score is an amazing book about why you need to deal with stuff, why you need to actually deal with the emotions that are inside of you. The other book, my favorite book of all time, and it's a spiritual psychodrama, it feels like. It's called The Alchemist. And the book is really about being very present in the here and now, like I told you before, like being where your feet are. So the book talks about taking the next best step. don't worry about 15 steps for now. The next best step, just like God gives us manna from heaven for that day. So it is just for that day. You do what you need to do for this day, and you don't worry about tomorrow. It doesn't mean you don't prepare, you just don't worry about tomorrow. So it's a great book about that. So those are my, if I had to pick three to give you for your audience to listen to read, and I would read all three of them. I read The Alchemist every year because it's like I have to have a reminder of just being where my feet are, taking the best next step, and not getting ahead of myself on things. So that is my recommendation as far as takeaways that your audience can utilize fairly quickly. These books are all cheap. They are all Amazon. They're older books, so you shouldn't be paying more than $5 for the book. You might even find it for a couple dollars on a sale rack somewhere.
Gotcha.
And as far as me, I this is the work I do. I love the work I do. I do a lot of work with women. My dissertation was on women and mental health things. So I've studied this for years and years and years. And so I formulated, like you mentioned, the village, which is just a place and space for women to find healing, empowerment, connection, community. We laugh, we have pajama parties, and we get serious. We talk about depression. We do all the things. A place that you can find your village within the village.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. So it's been such a pleasure, having you. We thank you so much, and we hope to see you next month. Hint, hint. For
I'll
some
be
more
there.
things. Yeah. So that's all we have. We hope this has helped you today, and along with your journey. And as I always say, as I always tell people now, breathe in and breathe out. And that's all I have for you today. And this is Candace Hayes, the co-host of From the Game to Grace. And peace out. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to From the Game to Grace with Jarius and Candace Hayes. If today's episode encouraged you, challenged you, or just made you feel a little less alone, do us a favor. Subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and leave a review to help more people find the show. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Just search at From the Game to Grace. That's From the Game, the number 2, Grace. Remember, no matter what you've lost or where you've been, grace is always the next play. We'll see you next time.
Mari, can you see me? Oh, finish.